welcome those of y'all in attendance to our NC Choices update on the Meat Suite adaptation for North Carolina. And we look forward to getting this thing launched. And I think we've got some good opportunity here to provide a nice little service for uh, farmers direct marketing meat, just like Cornell has done up in New York. And so I've got with us today, we've got Matt LaRue joining us from Cornell, and he is the developer and the brains behind the Meat Suite, and successfully operating it up there. Um, so we're the reason we brought this on is we've NC Choice has started a beginning and farmer rancher program last year through a grant through NCDA USDA, and part of this is to look at ways to support beginning farmers with increased ability to be profitable in direct marketing meats. And so, as one of the areas of focus is looking at more effective ways for our farmers to get out and market without having to go to a farmer's market, and especially since a lot of us, a lot of our farmers are in rural areas, and making a 2 or 3 or 4 hour trek into Raleigh or Charlotte or Durham or Asheville could be a little bit much to do every Saturday. So one of the things we looked at was this meat suite program that Cornell had developed, and Matt's going to tell us a little bit about that. And so we're adapting it to North Carolina, and we're going to go through today, and we're going to touch a little bit on what Meat Suite is and how it came about, and then we're going to go through and show you how the listings look, and then kind of walk you through with an example. We do have a special support program for the agents that are help participate in this, and that the first 10 counties to get 10 producers signed up will receive $200 in programming money that they can use however you see fit in any of your programs there in your county. So we'll talk a little bit about that and what you need to do for the agents to be able to claim that. One thing about the agent, to give you a little more detail about the agent uh, program money, like I said, that is a special scholarship, the money that we put together as part of this grant. And so for the first 10 counties that have 10 producers sign up, those counties and the corresponding agent will be sent 200, will be eligible for $200 that can be used in your programming. So with that, I will turn it over to Matt and him give you a little background on the Meat Suite and how it came about. Matt?
Sure, thanks. So, going back in time a bit, I was doing research on the different market channels that are available to livestock producers, the different channels being farmers markets, sales to restaurants, sales to grocery stores, and so on. And then, of course, what I call the freezer trade up here, you might call it the locker trade there, but that's selling directly to the consumer, quarters, halves, and whole animals. And what we found during that research project, which was back in 2010, is that there's a real sweet spot in the freezer trade. Again, so that's selling quarters, halves, and wholes direct to consumer. And I put up some of the reasons that I think are compelling to use that channel. Use this slide when I'm speaking to farms about pricing and marketing and channel selection. Freezer trade offers a premium price above market because in this instance, the farm is the price maker, right? They set their prices. You have whole carcass demand, so you don't have to worry about popular cuts versus unpopular cuts, stockpiling, the rounds or the shoulders or whatever species you have, those slow moving cuts, because your customers will take entire portions of a carcass or the whole carcass. I believe it's true down there the way it's true up here. You don't have to go through a USDA inspected processor. The way it works in New York is the buyer has to make a commitment to buy the animal. We like to get that in writing, whether it's an email commitment or it's a deposit check. But they commit to buying the animal while it's still alive. Now that animal can be processed at a custom processor. So if you have a long wait period at your USDA inspected processors, or that seems to be slowing growth in other channels like farmers markets and restaurants, at least you have a channel that you can grow continuously in, assuming you have a lot more availability of custom. Around here, around Ithaca, New York, where I'm based, we do have a really good selection of USDA inspected processors, meaning good in number, but we have 3 times that number of custom processors without long waiting periods to get in. It's efficient marketing, and that means that the amount of time that the farm will invest in making one sale versus the amount of money that they'll bring in from that sale works out really well compared to other channels. You might work 6 or 8 hours at a farmer's market to make $650, but you could sell a quarter to a consumer, even if they're a brand new customer and you have to explain everything with how you raise them and explain the cut sheet. You're still going to be able to make that, let's say, $650 sale in a lot less time. Not to mention returning customers. We see a lot of customer loyalty in this channel, and returning customers can be really pretty quick once they get used to it. It's affordable for consumers, and I won't talk tons about this on this this call, but I want to say that we're doing all sorts of facing site, and we're trying to get the consumer to understand that there's a great price for them, even when the farm receives a premium. There's a great price for the consumer to buy. Let's just use my example of a quarter of a beef. You're going to get a great selection of cuts at one flat per pound price. So it's actually arguably the best way for consumers to buy really terrific meat that they might not be able to afford if they had to buy it all by the cut. For the farm, there's less of a need for a year-round supply, and then because you can market all your animals in a 2 or 3 month window to those customers versus farmers markets, restaurants, they expect a year-round supply. And then finally, because you don't have that inventory management of individual cuts, it reduces the amount of labor you're putting into that, and it reduces the risk of damage to the cryovac and so on, and shuffling cuts in and out of containers. All right, so that just wanted to offer that's the compelling reasons, and that's why we developed the Meat Suite, because our goal when the site launched in 2012 was to see if we could, as extension, be a catalyst to grow the sales in this channel in our local counties. We wanted to get more consumers to think about buying meat this way. We wanted to get more producers to basically the producers that were using it to sell a higher volume, and maybe even convert some producers into that channel. And that's where the Meat Suite comes in. We surveyed 200 consumers, 40 producers. How do they interact, and how do they find each other? And we heard that both parties struggle to find each other. Meat Suite is that connecting tool. So as I mentioned, it's a consumer-facing website, meaning it's meant to be consumer friendly, to teach them about buying this way and to show them the farms that are around them. I also mentioned we launched this, I guess, as a pilot in 2012 up here in my local county with a few surrounding counties. Within 2 years, there was a lot of interest from other counties, and we've expanded it all across the state. And now, really, really pleased to see Choices adopted from North Carolina. You really don't have to be afraid of prices. So some farms are leery of putting their price online or of having a high price. And I just have to say, we've got lots of anecdotal farm stories from up here that consumers do not shop by price alone. So for farms who have relatively higher prices and support those prices well with the marketing and production methods, there's no reason to think that the visitor to the website, the consumer, is just going to search for the lowest price that there is, because there's just no truth and no evidence for that. So folks shouldn't be gun shy about using the pricing. We have selected pricing formats that are allowed. And we can eventually, I can get this write-up about pricing to lead. We can send it out to everyone. But to keep the site consumer friendly, we want the prices to just be in a handful of formats that are easy for the consumer. So one would be dollars per pound hanging weight, including cut and wrap, so including the processing fee. This way there's no hidden expenses or hidden costs. Another one would be whole animal pricing, like if you put rabbit up there. You could do whole animal pricing, either dollars per animal or dollars per pound would be acceptable. And then we allow for bulk pricing, which is to say you might create an assorted pack, like a 40-pound grillers pack, and it has assorted cuts, and it's just a flat $40. So those are the three main formats that I can share this document that has a little bit more detail than what I just gave. Okay, so I think I just wanted to say that's some of the history and the logic for why we created this. Um, it's gone really well. I was just checking the Google Analytics for site visits, and we had more visits in 2019 than ever before, than the year prior. Okay, I just also wanted to say, I know there's a great contest that I did the same thing up here, looking for counties to sign up 10 farms. Promoting the site is the key to its success for your farmers. And what I mean is, no consumer will find them if they don't know this website exists. So it does take doing activities and notifying the public that this is a resource available to them. Some of the things that we've seen up here that work really well. One is called, it's a how to buy class. I called it Fill Your Freezer. The sort of slogan for Meat Suite is Find Your Farmer. And then our class was called Fill Your Freezer, How to Buy Local Meat. And we just talked to folks about the different feeds, breeds of animals, and then we explained the whole carcass pricing and retail pricing and the conversion and the yields from carcass to retail cuts. And so we took some of that mystery out of it for them, answered a lot of questions about, things like antibiotics and grass-fed and grain finished and all that. Another event that worked really well to promote the site in some of the other counties, it was called Meet the Farmer, and that was a pun using the word meat. But that was just your very traditional, you bring in several farms from your county, and you have an event where people could come in, meet them, take their business cards and brochures, ask them questions, and sample some locally. And that's where the prize money would help pay for an event like that. We did that several times, and I have to say, with these two events, the How to Buy class and the Meet the Farmer, using my Google Analytics for my site, I could see a direct connection between counties that hosted events like this and visitation to the site, because it got right down to the city level. So these are really effective, they work, and they're an important part of making this useful for the farmer.
If you have cattlemen's meeting or producer group meetings that you would like to, you think you've got sufficient interest and you would like to have us come talk to, please shoot me an email. My email is laminus, MENIUS, @ncsu.edu. And I'll be glad to, if time permits and we can make it, we'll come out and give a run through and help get people fired up and signed up for this Meat Suite. But yeah, so the first 10 counties to get 10 folks signed up, that could be your project going forward, to be thinking about who you can get in your county signed up after Christmas break. And we'll have this launched and pushed out. We also have a producer version of this where we'll have a webinar that producers can log into, and we'll do the same type presentation where we walk through them on January the 14th, which is a Tuesday afternoon, and that'll be an evening webinar, and we'll send out details to you on that, but it'll be at either 6 or 7 p.m. Give producers a chance to kind of get home, and while it's dark and cold outside, and once they've got their feeding done, then they can hop on the computer and see about the Meat Suite. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, and we'll get you an answer as quick as we can.